everybody, long time no see. It's that time again. It's time for Diary of a Physicist Farmgal, and my hair is a mess because I just took it down from a bunch of braids and wool dreadlocks because I'm getting ready to have them done again. My name is Deborah, and I'm coming to you from here on my family farm in the foothills of the Arkansas Ozarks, where I do like to do all the crafts. I knit, I crochet, I sew, I quilt, I make baskets, I make jewelry, I do needlework. I also do pyrography and bone art and all the things. I am also a university professor. I teach at a local university where I teach courses in physics and astronomy and meteorology, and I'm a docent at our planetarium, and I am a farmer. I am a third generation family farmer here on my family farm in the foothills of the Arkansas Ozarks, where I raise grass-fed beef cattle, I raise show horses, I raise, I used to raise show poultry and rabbits. I don't do that anymore. And I have a retirement herd of miniature horses, miniature donkeys, a miniature mule named Pumpkin who thinks she rules the roost. And I am also fur kid mom to several dogs and cats, some of which you'll probably see coming by here as we record this. I'm a little disjointed, but I haven't recorded a podcast in a while, and I wanted to let everyone know how I was. So here I am. So if any of all of that sounds interesting to you, just come on along and we'll have a kind of a catch-up chat here on Diary of a Physicist Farmgal. If you're looking for me on social media, you can find me on Ravelry and on Instagram and TikTok as Doc Firewoman. There is also a Ravelry group for the podcast, which is not terribly active right now. But I still do get on Ravelry. I still look at patterns. I still do all the things. I still do knit and crochet and do the things. I'm just not doing it as much right now. There is also a farm Facebook page for Buckthorn Farms. There is also a Facebook page for my bone art business, Stories of the Bones. And if you're interested in my witchy books that I write, there is an author page for me as well on Facebook and a podcast Facebook group. So I'm lots of places. And yes, I wrote a book. I wrote a book called Weather Magic, Witchery, Science, and Lore for Llewellyn Publishing. It is now out and available. Some of you have it. I have gotten to meet some of you because of it. But it is available from Llewellyn Publishing. And or if you see me out at events, and I will talk about some of the events that I have been at and some of the places that I'm going to be this summer. And I have a contract for a second book, which will be astronomy related. So I just found that out last week, and I am working on that now, and that will be out in 2026. It takes about a year and a half from start to finish on the process of putting a book out with them. So you can find me all those places there, and I'll come back. And I don't have any finished objects that are fiber crafting related. I have lots of bone art pieces, but they're all packed up because I'm going to South on Main Pride on Saturday to vend, and I just got home from vending at Harmony in the Hollow, so all that kind of stuff is packed up. I can show you a few of my in progress pieces, so we're going to just jump right on over to works in progress. So my fibery works in progress, I have finished the body of my PhD candidate sweater. I finished this while I was in Asheville, North Carolina at Maria from Daughters of the Red Sunset's birthday week event. So I have finished the body. I have bound it off. It's a cropped sweater. This is a free pattern. It's called the PhD Candidate by Dear Ingenue. I, for some reason, did not have my bigger needles in my bag, so I could not pick up for the sleeves, but I'm going to pick up for the sleeves and get those done. And then this will be done. Yay. So this is a bulky sweater. It is a very fast and enjoyable knit, and I've had a lot of fun working on it, and Fizzy seems to enjoy it. So this is in Plymouth yarn, I believe is what it is. Shirley gave me this. Shirley, my longtime good podcast friend here. And so that's where I'm at. A lot of fun to knit. Again, it is a free pattern. It's made to look like the sweater in the movie Don't Look Up, and it's called the PhD Candidate because they were an astrophysics PhD candidate. And so I had to knit that sweater. The other work in progress that I have, I also worked on while I was in Asheville at Maria's birthday thing, and I'm getting very close to being done with this. This is the Yule shawl from the Celtic Year Shawl Club in 2018. This was by, at the time they were called Woolly Wonka sock, or Woolly Wonka yarns, but I don't know if that's still their name now. I know their podcast name has changed, and I can't call it to mind right now. But this is they did a shawl pattern and yarn set for each of the Celtic or Wiccan Sabbats. And this is the Yule one. I have done the Samhain one, and this is the Yule or Christmas one. So this is a pattern called The Woods Are Lovely, and it is based on the Robert Frost poem Walking in the Woods on a Snowy Evening. And this is supposed to be like a snowstorm, and I'm actually showing you the wrong side of it, I think. It's supposed to be like a snowfall, and then you've got some 2 rows of trees, and then some pine cones. So I have this much yarn left, and you just knit till the end of the yarn, and then this will be done. So this is a beautiful sort of oblong triangle shaped shawl, and it's going to be really versatile and lovely when it's done. So, and that color is called Minerva, which I love. So those are my 2 yarny works in progress. So I have been doing some knitting. I just haven't done as much in the evenings. Now I tend to work on my vending stuff rather than my yarn, but that will change as the year progresses and the vending season comes to a close. But right now we are in the height of it. So height, the main pitch of it, whatever you want to call it. So what am I working on? Well, what I've been doing is working on bone art and meditation bead sets and pyrography of all kinds. And what is pyrography? Pyrography is also sometimes called wood burning, but I am burning bones instead in a lot of cases. So I will show you a couple of the things that I have done. So this is a traditional piece of pyrography. This is triple ravens. This is also a symbol of the goddess, the Morgan, the goddesses, the triple goddesses. And so this is just done on a circular piece of wood. What I do is I have a stencil, and I trace out the stencil. So this is not freehand on this case, but I trace the stencil out, and then I wood burn the stencil. So you've got the 3 ravens for the Morgan. But an example of my freehand art would be something along these lines. So this is a piece of bone. This is a scapula from one of my cows. You can see where the squirrels have chewed on it, which I think is kind of cool. And this is a freehand drawing. This is a picture of the goddess Caradwen. Caradwen of the Cauldron is another way that she is known. So I've got her cauldron, and I've got her. This will eventually, I'll take this to the sander and clean up the edges, although I'm going to keep the chews. I think they look kind of neat. But I will clean up the rough parts, some of the rough parts of this. And then I will put bells on this, and it will be a rattle. I'll put a quartz crystal down here in this socket, and then I will wood stain it so it'll look a little bit nicer. And that is an example of what I have been doing with my wood burner. So that's been a lot of fun. I don't have any of the skulls I've been decorating out right now, but I've also been using decoupage fairly extensively as well. This is an example of one of the meditation bead sets that I have made, and it actually got messed up at the last event. The charm came off of it. But meditation bead sets like a mala or something like that. So I do my beads in multiples of 3. So you can go through and meditate using your beads, and then you have a dangle or a drop part which has a pendant of some kind hanging off of it. This is the pendant that goes on this one, but apparently the jump ring or something came loose or came off, so I need to repair this. So I've made probably 100 sets of these. I've made probably about 60 pairs of earrings. I've done tons of bone art and pyrography. I'm having a lot of fun. So that's been really fun for me. So that's all my works in progress that I have. But we'll just have a quick catch-up chat. And Jessica from Two Sticks and String podcast asked me to talk about a science thing. So I want to do that too. But I want to talk to you a little bit about what's been going on in my world. And then we will... be caught up because I have missed visiting with everybody, and I wanted to get caught up with everybody. So we'll come back and do that. So let me get the science sprinkle out of the way first. So first of all, campus, I'm teaching online for the summer session, and I'm also helping with the Teaching Excellence Institute, which is going to be going on here in a couple of weeks. That's been a lot of fun getting ready for that, but I am also kind of a little disheartened because there have been some things that have happened where my teaching has been called into question because of my personal life, right? Because I am very much not the norm for what is around here, and someone decided that I was not a good example for the students. And what bothers me about this is it was not a student, it was a person that I have called a friend for a long time. And for whatever reason, they decided to complain through official channels about me, and it went nowhere because their complaint was actually not true. But it hurt my heart. It hurt my heart that someone who I have called a friend and who I have stood up for in meetings and advocated for decided to do that. So I'm a little sad right now about work, and I'm hoping that the break over the summer will make things better. But I do have some new opportunities coming up. I am going to be teaching an online weather, folklore, and magic class for Cherry Hill Pagan Seminary online. It's called an Insights course, and I believe anybody is eligible to take it. I don't know what the pay structure or what the cost structure is for them, but I will put a link down below to Cherry Hill Seminary if that's something that you're interested in. They teach mostly online classes, and they do have a lot of the Insights classes. They also have a master's in divinity or theology, I believe, also, so that you can become a pastor, get your pastor credentials to do official pastordom as a pagan. Although I have my credentials from the Universal Life Church, and I can do weddings, and so yay, I did that on purpose so that I could marry same-sex couples in a state that is sometimes not so friendly to same-sex couples or alternative couples or whatever. But at any rate, so Science Sprinkle. Jessica wanted to know why it was that we recently could see the northern lights down at our latitude. And that is a really great question. We were able to see them here in Arkansas, and they were quite showy. Probably the best I've ever seen them. The reason that is because the sun right now is at a solar maximum. Now, this has nothing to do with the fact that we just recently had the eclipse. It has to do with every 11 years, the sun gets a big number of sunspots on its surface because its magnetic field gets very tangled up. And I've talked about this in the past, but just to reiterate, it's because the sun rotates differentially. So the sun is not solid. The center of the sun, or the equator region, rotates about every 28 days. The poles rotates about every 31 days. And so what happens is the magnetic field lines twist up. Magnetic field lines do not like to be in close proximity to each other. They cannot cross each other because physics says no. And so what happens is they sometimes snap and break, and when they do that, they eject material from the surface of the sun and also a tremendous amount of light. We know that as a solar flare. And then the material that comes off is called a coronal mass ejection, meaning that some of the material from the corona of the sun, or the outer layers of the sun, gets thrown out into space at a high rate of speed. Sometimes that material strikes the atmosphere of the Earth and creates what's called a geomagnetic storm. That material is ionized gases and things of that nature, nothing that would necessarily harm us, but what it does do is it interacts with the magnetic field of the Earth, and it makes the aurora get stronger temporarily because there's so much more activity. So when that happens, that means that the auroral oval moves south and we're able to see it. So right now we are happening to be in a solar maximum, and there was a solar flare, and we had a geomagnetic storm, and it was a pretty strong one, because we actually saw probably, like I said, the best display of the aurora I've ever seen this far south. It was very impressive. So, but anyway, so that happened, and it was pretty amazing. So there you go, Jessica. It's because we are at a solar maximum every 11 years that happens, and then in between we get to a solar minimum, so there's almost no sunspots, therefore very few or any solar flares. So that's why. So there's your science sprinkle, Jessica. I hope that helps. Woo, so what's going on here on the farm? Boy, have I got a lot to tell y'all. There's been a lot happening. The first thing, though, is the farm is paid off. The farm is paid off. They do not give you a piece of paper that's a mortgage anymore, so I don't have anything I can burn. But once I get home from these trips, I'm going to get me a big piece of poster board and I'm going to write mortgage on it and I'm going to burn it because the farm is paid off. It took me 20 years to do it and it is paid for free and clear. I did borrow against my retirement. The reason that I did that is because I was going to have to refinance the mortgage. They weren't going to give me a very good rate because interest rates have gone up. I could get a more favorable rate borrowing against my retirement. And I'm paying myself back. So, you know, I am paying myself back rather than paying the bank. So, yay for that. The farm is paid for, which is a major relief to me. It still doesn't quite seem real, but it is. Because I look on there and I see those zero balances, and that is great. I did, as I talked about earlier, my book came out on Eclipse Day. It came out on April the 8th. It actually was out before that, but its official release date was April the 8th, which was Eclipse Day, which made my astrophysics heart very happy. And I have been traveling pretty much every weekend and sometimes through the week to go do book signings and things of that nature. I have been to Florida. I went to a Georgian witchcraft tradition meeting, but I also did some book signing there. I have been to Asheville, North Carolina, as I said, for Maria's birthday, but I also did a book signing at House of Black Cat Magic where I got to meet Sally. So hi, Sally. And I have been now to Harmony in the Hollow, which is of an event local to me. We camped over there all weekend and did a book signing and vended. But I also had a book release party, which was great. And I tried to do a video just of the book release party, but I failed because I got very busy. But I do have a few clips and some pictures that I will include in this video. I am home this weekend after Harmony. Joel is actually up vending at an event in St. Louis. So he's going to be up there until Monday. And then Wednesday of next week, he and I leave to go to Summer Magic Fest in Orlando, Florida. So if you're in the Orlando area and you want to come out for the day, I think they do sell day passes. There are some great classes. There is a great set of vendors going to be there. And I encourage you to come check out Summer Magic Fest. I will also be in Hot Springs a couple of times. And I will be also in Oklahoma City in July, as well as Atlanta in July. So I'm also got accepted to be part of the facilitators at Anahata's Purpose in Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia. I'm going to try to maybe work out a book signing on my way up there if I can do that. I also have a couple of book signings coming up in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and I am going to be one of the presenters at Nashville Pagan Pride in October. And I am going to be presenting at the Enchanted Metaphysical and Mystics Market here in a couple of weeks in Benton, Arkansas. So all of those things are happening. If you want to know more about all of that, you can go to my author page and I will post the dates that I will be there. If you're in the Little Rock, Arkansas area this weekend, come out to South on Main Pride. I will be there. And then on Sunday on Fort Smith, I will be teaching a class at Strange Brew Occult Shop. So I'm very excited and I'm trying to do the author hustle and get the book out there and get it known about. The other good news is, like I said, I submitted a book idea for a second book of similar style to Llewellyn, and it got approved for publication. I just found out on Friday that I did get selected to be published. So I will be working on that book actually now. I've already got it outlined, and I'm going to work on it starting now. And it will be out probably early 2026, and it's going to be an astronomy book, similar in style to the weather book. Yeah, so a lot's been going on there. I did go to Florida and stay with my friends Gypsy and Marla and got to practice making glass beads using a torch and learn to do a little bit of forging, which was exciting. I got to make a metal hook with forging. And I met a lot of the members of my trad that I had not ever met, which was nice. And I got reinvigorated about teaching in the trad again. So that's something that I'm looking forward to trying here soon. I'm going to form a couple of study groups and see how that goes. I am teaching for Cherry Hill, as I already mentioned. I'm very excited about that. I got accepted as a presenter in Wendy Mata Hausman's Wealthy Witches Summit, which will be coming up in September. I'm going to be a presenter at LllewellynCon, which I think is free. I'll put a link to that down in the show notes. I believe that's free. There's 40 presenters over the course of several days that you can check in and watch. Yeah, so that's all going really great. And, you know, I told myself about 3 years ago or 2 years ago, at the beginning of 2022, I said, I want to be a more out, open, public-facing person in terms of being a safe place and an example for those of us, those who don't follow traditional paths. And I want to be able to be seen as a mentor and a contributor to the community in a positive way. And I think I'm doing that. I'm really happy with how that's going, and I think I'm doing my very best as that I can with that. So I'm very excited to be a part of all of those things. Joel and I are doing great. He is wonderful as always, and he is unfortunately up in St. Louis. Well, not unfortunately. I know he's excited to be up there at Reconnection this week, so I'm glad that he's getting to do that. We had a wonderful weekend at Harmony in the Hollow, and I'm sure we'll have a wonderful weekend at Summer Magic Fest. So I'm very excited about all of that. Things are doing good here. I'm down to only, 15 head of cattle, so the cattle are, less now, so they take a little bit less work, but still they do take work. And I still have all of my horses and my dogs and cats and everything. Unfortunately, I don't think I have podcast since I lost both Simon, my oldest cat, and Ears, my oldest dogs. And I know a lot of y'all knew him from being online on Zoom with us for the virtual knitting group or virtual crafting group or virtual support group, whatever you want to call it. That has unfortunately happened, and that makes me very sad. And my oldest horse, Angel, is not doing great. She's doing okay, but she's 30 years old now, and she is starting to show her age a little bit. So these are the things that happen when you have animals, is you have to accept the fact that they do get older, and that's hard. That's hard to watch them to do that. But yeah, so things are going really well in that area, of life. I've got the farm down to a manageable size for me. I'm not having to just break myself to pieces to try to take care of everything. I do have a really good, reliable farm sitter now for when I take these trips, so that helps a tremendous amount. Joseph has been a godsend in that way, so I'm very grateful for that. Yeah, so basically that's what's been happening here on the farm. My bone art business is doing well. I'm actually vending at multiple events coming up. I will be, like I said, I will be vending at South on Main Pride, then Summer Magic Fest, then right after that, I think I have a little bit of a break. I am not vending at the Benton Enchanted, but I am vending at the Enchanted that's going to be in Fayetteville in August. I'm also vending at a little event in Clarksville that is a fundraiser for the local animal rescue called Paws in the Park. I will be vending at that. I will be vending at Mystic South. And yeah, so those are all things that are coming up for me. Yeah, that's a lot. But I apologize for not podcasting more regularly. I have tried to take video clips here and there, but I get hyper fixated on stuff and then I forget to. So the best way to keep up with what's going on is keep up with my socials or TikTok or whatever. But I hope you guys are all doing well. I've excited that I've gotten to meet some of y'all as I've been out doing the book stuff. So I'm very grateful for that. If you happen to be in any of those areas that I mentioned, come on out and say hi. I'd love to see you. But yeah, so that's all I've got. I just wanted to give you a little quick life update. Things are great. Life is good. I did get a new vehicle. That is another thing that happened. Didn't really plan on having to get a new vehicle, but my 3-year-old, well, it was 5 years old, but I had owned it for 3. My Nissan Rogue, we think, probably blew a head gasket. And there was really no reason for that other than because I take care of my vehicles, but I was headed to Joel's yoga class and all the lights come on and it starts crying about oil pressure. And I drove into the dealership and said, okay, I don't know if I'm going to the service department or if I'm going to trade this in, because If I had known when I bought the Rogue in 2021 that I would be doing the things I'm doing now, I would have bought a bigger vehicle. Well, they happened to have one. It was exactly what I was looking for. It was less expensive than what I'd paid for the Nissan. It had less miles. It was a lot nicer vehicle, and it had a lot more cargo room. So I traded. That meant my payment went up, which wasn't great, but I guess at least it waited until after I got the farm paid off. So, you know, at the end of the day, you can't ever get ahead on a farm because it kind of knows. And if you get more than $5 saved up, something breaks. It's kind of how that goes. But at any rate, so that's where we're at. But I did get a new vehicle, and it feels safer. It feels something like it's something reliable. And I'm very grateful that my Nissan did not break down on me while I was out on one of these long trips. So, and I am grateful that it waited until after the farm was paid for. So, you know, these things happen, but it just made me a little bit sad because I liked that little Nissan, but I couldn't have something that was going to be doing like that. So anyway, yes, so that's all that's been going on here. I hope y'all are doing well. I hope to see some of y'all out and about when I'm out at different events. Come up and say hello. And I'll try to check in sooner rather than later, y'all. Peace out. Bye.
It starts with one thing. I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to explain in due time. All I know, time is a valuable thing. Watch it fly by as the pendulum swings. Watch it count down to the end of the day. The clock ticks life away. So unreal. Didn't look out below. Watch the time go right out the window. Trying to hold on, but didn't even know you wasted it all just to watch you go. Kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to me was
coming around to me, them gyal a roll out them eyes. Go down there, wine and go down there. Go down there, wine and go down there. Go down there, wine and go down there. Go down there.
Well, the first thing you might notice if you are a keen observer is this is not my other car. My Nissan, which was a 2019, had just rolled 100,000 miles on it. Well, I had almost 110,000 by the time this happened because I took a couple of big trips. I was driving to yoga class 2 weeks ago, and it threw a little hissy fit on the interstate about the oil, which I did need to get the oil changed, but it was time. It wasn't like 20,000 miles overdue. It was maybe 1,000 miles overdue getting it changed. And I'm listening because I've got stuff stacked up in the back, making sure everything's riding good. It quit. It threw a little fit and said stop vehicle, and I got out and I checked the oil, and that oil should not have looked like it did. So sorry, I turned the defogger on and it made a huge noise. So I sent Joel a message and I said, I'm going to be late to class. I'm having car trouble. And I limped up to the dealership where I bought this car. Luckily, it was on the east side of town. And I was standing there on the phone with him and I said, I don't know if I'm going to the service department or if I'm just going to trade this vehicle in. Because I had been wanting something with more cargo space. So I kind of put it out to the universe. I said, okay, universe, if there's something here that's my same price point, that is at least not any older, and it has less miles on it, and has more cargo space, I'll trade. And so I traded. There's some bad wrong with that engine and that Nissan, and that was the fourth major hiccup that thing had in a year. So I'm like, I can't, it's 5 years old. It should not be having that kind of trouble. Anyway, so I traded, and now I have a new vehicle. It is a GMC Terrain. You know, I liked the reliability of my Toyota. I assumed the Nissan would have similar reliability, and I think some of them do. But I think I just got a hold of one that was not right. You know, and I hated it because, you know, being an animist, I was like, oh, my poor little piggy car. But meet Josie. This is my Josie, the GMC, and she has a lot more cargo space in the back. And yeah, so we're loaded up and headed out. I am meeting the person who is letting me use the party space. They have a party event space, and they're letting me use it at no cost, which is really kind. They had a party there the night before, or last night, so I'm stopping to get paper towels and toilet paper and stuff like that, since they're letting me use the space for free. So she's up there shampooing the carpets right now. So anyway, I am headed that way, and I'll check in with y'all. And I brought my clothes to change. I'm not dressing like this. Anyway, I'll catch up with y'all. So I'm at the event space, and I'm setting up my displays. I wanted to have some time up here by myself before everybody else got here, but it's a really nice space. And there's a side room over there where the readers and the Reiki people are going to be. So yay, we're going to get set up.
They're gonna crash, they'd rather be facing the ground.
That was a damn good burger.
And the mountains said I could find you here. They whispered the snow and the leaves in my ear. I traced my finger along your trails. Your body was the map. I was lost in it, floating over your rocky spine. The glaciers made you.
Well, it's a little anticlimactic, y'all. But these are the final payoffs on the farm. I did it. The farm's mine now, and nothing can touch it. It's paid off. It's mine. 20 years of busting my ass and scraping by, and the farm's paid for. And this is what I get to burn, because they don't give you mortgage papers anymore. You just get to burn these, but these are the receipts. It's paid off. Yay!